Level 1. PTIN, Preparer. You open one used laptop on the folding kitchen table after your day job. Under the scanner lid, you tape the software password note before the first client arrives. You compare the laminated Social Security card against the W-2 and driver's license. By the refrigerator, you question a neighbor on the kitchen stool about every yearly envelope. You try the cheap blazer on a plastic hanger in the discount store mirror. Beside the laptop, you point to paper napkin tax arrows for your older aunt. At the curb, you park the old sedan with cracked seat vinyl near the client's mailbox. With thick black marker, you label surnames on folders inside the plastic file box. At midnight, the blue tax software screen floods your face above W-2s on every kitchen surface. You pull a jammed printer page from the floor beside the printer. At the office coffee machine, you face a coworker questioning paid help against cheap DIY software. You correct one apartment number on a form before the refund letter goes wrong. Beside client folders, you push takeout boxes into the shrinking dinner space. At month end, you seal cash and checks totaling $2,500 per month into a brown envelope. You type a corrected client PIN with the phone wedged against your shoulder. Across the kitchen table, you hold the wrinkled competitor coupon slid over by a client. You build a handwritten missing document checklist for the client to photograph. Beside the overheated desktop shredder, you wait with a mug near the cooling motor. You face 3 phones with DIY tax apps across one kitchen night. In the dim hallway mirror, you button the cheap blazer hard. You face the sink full of plates during your brother's office by the sink joke. On the e-file screen, you point to the rejection code and required document. You set the phone alarm for 5 a.m. before your regular job. On the refrigerator door, you fill the schedule with evening and weekend slots. You answer the unknown caller asking about a real office. On a clean page, you rewrite the schedule under your future service name. Level 2. Seasonal W-2 Preparer. On a cold January morning, the flashing tax refunds window decal fronts a line of envelopes. You park the cleaner used compact car outside the strip mall in a branded Polo. You power up dual monitors on a rented desk between 2 preparers. Near the row of plastic lobby chairs, you watch clients holding document envelopes on knees. You feed IDs, W-2s, 1099s, and dependent documents through the small receipt scanner. On the monitor, you change the dependent field after one follow-up question. Under the reception clock, you ask the shop manager for 2 minutes to verify the name. You point to the IRS calendar on the wall for a waiting family. At the counter, you band signed envelopes with sticky notes marked, "Call tonight." You tap the old year, printed on a W-2, before requesting a fresh copy. Across the desk, you face a work jacket sleeve, pointing toward a competing tax sign. You wipe private names from the rejection whiteboard behind reception. From the seasonal pay envelope, you read $4,200 per month on the attached slip. On Saturday, standing clients crowd beneath the refund poster near the nail salon wall. Beside your desk, you set the box of water bottles for 2-hour waits. You read the printed rejection code sheet for identity mismatch versus technical failure. At the counter, you brace beside the client's purse during a raised voice complaint. Across the screen, you face red e-file rejection lines under lobby stairs. You carry the chair into the lobby, facing the crowd. From the evening call list, you repeat the required document phrase for locked filings. You grip the stained polo collar after 14 hours beside the printer. With a colored paperclip, you mark each rejection folder at the front. You move the stack of risky returns aside after the shop owner dismisses details. At night, evening strip mall signs glow as clients still enter the tax office. You count signed forms inside the closed folder after everyone leaves. Along the worn scanner guide rail, you slide one more ID after a heavy day. In the empty parking lot, you record a voice note about verifying names before refunds. You carry the client intake checklist home as procedure replaces lobby pressure. Level 3. Schedule C Specialist. On the spare bedroom door, you hang the "By Appointment Only" sign above the standing desk. You pull up to the duplex in a reliable used SUV between client visits. Across the desk, you study the delivery earnings app on the driver's phone. You sort mileage, fuel, tolls, and personal trips into 4 rows of receipts. A trash bag of fuel receipts spills across the floor as 2 cars wait outside. You turn the key in the file cabinet lock after every client. Inside the barbershop, you meet the barber beside buzzing clippers. You sort purchases beside the food truck owner's box of disposable food containers. Across the desk, you move work outfit photos into a separate risk packet. You write quarterly payment dates on the wallet card for the client. Beside the Ring webcam light, you record tax tips for drivers and cash-heavy workers. You mark platform fees on the bank statement before calculating taxable profit. At the food truck, you steady the laminated menu under the angry owner's hand. At the bank counter, you receive the stamped deposit slip showing $7,500 per month. You record a 1099-K video from the SUV dashboard phone mount. Over the chair, you hang a tailored shirt in a dry cleaning sleeve. You build expense categories from the shoebox of salon receipts. At night, 3 cars blink hazard lights outside the spare bedroom office. You show the odometer photo example for December 31st and January 1st. Across the desk, you turn the laptop away from the old friend. You empty industrial shredder strips into a large black bag. On social media, the angry post blames your work beneath real client comments. On the porch, you hold the appointment sign during one calm public call. Beside the standing desk, you flip document copies near the phone on speaker mode. You place the signed risk memo in front of the client. Before e-file, you require the rejected deductions signature sheet. On shelf folders, you label business types: rideshare, barber, salon, food truck. A marked micro-business route map fills the frame with barbershop, food truck, and duplex. You hand the client a set of weekly receipt envelopes for next season. Across the desk, you request the rideshare trip history screen instead of promises. You open the back-to-back appointment calendar after the video call. Inside the locked cabinet, you place the red audit risk folder. At the open bedroom window, you dictate stricter intake rules into your phone. You highlight the personal transfer buried in the bank statement. Beside the entrance, you mount the door camera for non-relative clients. You add a second lock to the file cabinet inside the cleared spare bedroom. Level 4. Authorized e-file provider. You check every field on the printed e-file provider application. Outside the empty office, you park the leased mid-size sedan by the glass door. You assemble matching office chairs from boxes beside the reception counter. On the glass, you tape an "Opening Soon" page under empty filing authority. You hold the office keys in the landlord's palm as rent begins. At the counter, you hold the accountant's cash flow folder as the accountant says, $15,000 per month gross revenue. You stare at the unanswered IRS application status page in the furnished office before peak season. You turn the reception counter toward the door for unpaid intake consults. On separate intake procedure cards, you arrange ID, consent, organizer, signature, review, transmit. You place pre-screened client folders inside the locked cabinet. The IRS approval letter with EFIN lands beside the glass door logo installation. You stand below the first real wall sign reflected in storefront glass. Under the sign installer's ladder, you face the rush surcharge. At night, the glowing logo on glass fronts 2 busy prep stations and reception. You trace the painter's tape path from door to counter to prep station. You train the temporary assistant beside the monitor privacy screen. On the reception counter, you set the desk bell in the new office. Across the desk, you face the contractor's dusty hard hat questioning a parking lot preparer. You tuck printed organizers into folders with matching labels. In the corner, you leave the old plastic file box beside the new metal cabinet. You point to the firm policy sheet when suspicious documents reach your desk. At the counter, you negotiate over the tax software brochure with your coat on. You check the second lock on the glass door every evening. Beside the neighbor's parking cone, you handle the check cashing owner's complaint. You press the second review stamp before any pressured transmission. On the glass door, you place vinyl business hours for the firm. The glass office frontage shows reception, 2 desks, sign, folders, and people behind glass. You set a laminated review checklist at every workstation. Across the counter, you show the "No False Promises" sheet to a refund advance walk-in. Beside the dumpster, you place the old kitchen printer. You hand a branded folder to a client at the reception counter. You hold the 2nd Street banner proof with the firm name. Level 5. Storefront ERO. During April peak, 6 prep desks roar with printers, phones, and parking lot lines. You step from the newer Honda Pilot beside a team in branded jackets. Before opening, you assign appointments, walk-ins, and risky returns from morning sheets. You point clients toward the wall-mounted refund status screen like an airport board. You coach the rookie using the training role-play card. Across the desk, you face the local radio ad contract before peak Saturdays vanish. You move between desks with green review stickers for cleared returns. Near reception, you open the box of branded jackets for seasonal workers. The Saturday line runs along the storefront window toward the neighboring store. You cross out an unsafe credit with the red pen on the review sheet. Across from the thick client envelope, you ask for documents instead of memories. You grab the blinking multi-line reception phone beside walk-in registration. In the packed office, you read $28,000 per month on the live revenue counter above 6 desks. At night, you unlock the suburban townhouse door with an office file box in hand. You place the church bulletin ad beside local business flyers on the counter. You introduce the fee disclosure card before any refund estimate. Across the desk, you face the best preparer over the folder of regular clients. You rebuild the magnetic staff schedule by hand after the argument. By day's end, wet asphalt mirrors the storefront sign under a full parking lot. You tape the printer warning sign above the shared printer. 2 weeks before deadline, you read the poaching text screenshot on your phone. From the open closet full of jackets, you reassign staff to empty desks. You read the forwarded text on the client phone and answer who owns the return. With shared client notes cards, you equip preparers to continue returns. Each night, you roll the review cart beside preparers. You remove the departed preparer's name from the blank magnet spot. On the final Saturday, the full storefront lobby runs like a hive. You stand behind the emptied main prep desk after giving the chair to a rookie. On the wall, you mount the laminated SOP, intake, review, rejection, client call. After deadline, you lock the office with the SOP glowing under nightlight. Level 6, Bookkeeping, Retainer Principal. In July, you open the office beside the payroll calendar and bookkeeper workstations. You park the clean branded SUV outside the entrance under the storefront logo. You replace refund posters with the bookkeeping packages poster. Across the table, you show the contractor payroll calendar to sell a retainer. You lay the overdue receipt list before the salon owner refusing monthly fees. Beside the food truck bank printout, you check for personal spending mixed into business. The conference table holds contractors, salons, landlords, and food trucks in a year-round command center. You lock the server cabinet in the corner before returning to the printer. On the client portal login screen, you set Secure Uploads as the document path. At the job site, you photograph the compressor for the books. Across the table, you sort the landlord's box of rent checks. At night, you step onto the porch of the quiet neighborhood house. You mark approval, funding, filings, and confirmation on the payroll checklist. In the notice queue, you place the scanned IRS notice without panic. You fill the multi-deadline wall calendar with sales tax, payroll tax, estimates, and notices. Beside the restaurant receipt spike, you defend bookkeeping fees to the owner. At month close, you review ACH confirmations totaling $45,000 per month gross revenue. From above, every occupied workstation shows July work without a seasonal line. You train staff with the access control matrix for payroll, returns, and notices. From the branded SUV, you carry the clipboard of service agreements between businesses. On the tablet, you demand written proof from the payroll vendor escalation email. At reception, you place the No Documents by Text Message sign. You assemble the tabbed notice response packet with payments, timeline, and signature. At week's end, you press the Completed Books stamp on 10 client folders. You catch the suspicious payroll attachment under an employee cursor in the office. You yank the network cable from the workstation and stop the office. You refuse personal Gmail beside the locked portal access page. With an MFA code on an employee phone, you run the security drill. You slide a privacy filter onto every workstation monitor. At night, the glowing server cabinet turns the office into a compliance bunker. You call each business client from the Upload Rules call log. At reception, you slide the flash drive back without touching the counter. You assign risk owners inside the incident log binder. You replace old Wi-Fi passwords with the guest network QR code. In the parking lot, you hand employees security key tokens from the SUV trunk. You flip the payroll calendar to the next month's retainer queue. Across the conference table, you spread contracts, notices, bank feeds, and payroll approvals. You lock the server cabinet beside the security policy binder. Level 7. Enrolled Agent Tax Resolution Owner. In the private consultation room, you sit beneath the framed enrolled agent credential. You step from the black full-size SUV in a darker suit and quiet watch. You follow the rolling case cart into the resolution room. A restaurant owner rushes in with IRS letters as the team moves toward conference. You match payroll dates to the greasy restaurant shift schedule. Beside the stainless prep line, you demand exact payroll deposit dates. At the office, you seat business owners behind 3 closed consultation doors. You stand behind the matte glass partition in the sharper interior. You build a payment plan on the rolling whiteboard beside the client. In the conference room, IRS speakerphone audio drives staff toward the deadline wall. You send the assistant across the lobby with the authorization clipboard. At the trucking yard, you inspect the tractor trailer threatened by liens. You turn penalty evidence into a list beside the diesel fuel pump. From the kitchen drawer, you pull the hidden payroll notice. Behind the restaurant, you call the team from the alley for an emergency war room. Beside the loading door, you confront the owner over hidden payroll taxes. On the glass wall, you assign transcripts, payments, and penalty narrative. The black SUV cuts from restaurant to office to courier drop box. Overnight, you sort exhibit piles on the office floor beside courier envelopes. At 3 a.m., you mark the deadline calendar beside cold coffee. You point toward tired staff in the hallway when the client asks for a discount. At the hotel podium, you lead a tax problem seminar for notice holders. After the seminar, red-marked notice envelopes form a line across the room. You walk the business owner to the wall of case timelines. You teach the junior specialist with the Process, Not Promise training card. At reception, you mount the Tax Problems Accepted Here sign. You count warehouse assets from the loading dock with the owner. The black SUV route links office, restaurant, warehouse, and hotel seminar. You mark a critical deadline with a red tab under the understated watch. Across the table, you shake the bank loan officer's hand over the IRS plan letter. You add the hidden debt disclosure form to intake. On the private room door, you place the full disclosure sign. You move colored case lane magnets as calls, faxes, and arrivals overlap. During quarterly review, you hold the controller's packet, as the outside controller says the firm holds $75,000 per month gross revenue. You pause by the black SUV with the professional liability note in hand. In the lobby, you run the mock emergency drill under pressure. Morning fills the triage lobby with anxious owners, private doors, couriers, and staff. You file labeled tax resolution binders inside the heavy cabinet. You place the emergency packet template in the team drawer. Level 8. Multi-Unit ERO. Peak Saturday cuts across 3 matching storefront signs: kiosk, flagship, suburban branch. You open the black Tahoe trunk packed with uniforms, tablets, and toner. In the morning, you enter the kiosk beside the manager's no-show clipboard. You route calls from the shared phone console across branches. On the tablet staff routing map, you reroute 2 preparers from the suburban branch. You review the tablet audit queue in the store corridor. Through the windshield, branded offices pass between kiosk and flagship. At the flagship, you read the risk pattern report on the tablet. You sign the backroom termination form while the lobby roars beyond the wall. On branch name badges, you check rolls across matching uniforms. Through the regional manager headset, you receive review queues by location. You stand beneath the matching illuminated sign above each storefront. On the color-coded appointment grid, you move complex returns to senior staff. Beside the parking overflow notice, you face the suburban branch landlord. At the suburban branch glass door, the packed lobby presses behind the manager. You carry the replacement printer box from the Tahoe. Inside the trunk, You stock the box of welcome packets for rushes. Between offices, you read $130,000 per month on the multi-location revenue counter over branch queues. You hold the unsigned hiring authority sheet without answering the regional manager. On the Tahoe hood, you teach the manager to read daily risk. At the client transfer table, you face the client refusing the brand without old owner involvement. Outside the old tax shop, you call the regional manager from the sidewalk. You hold the old owner's keyring during the transferable love argument. On handwritten diligence questions, you request retention history, fees, staff, and owner call clients. From the Tahoe, you let the manager call fill the car speaker. On the passenger seat, you check the child's toy beside the seller list. You stare at 2 incoming calls on the phone, family dinner and seller trouble. You turn the Tahoe toward the seller's office. On the escalation ladder poster, you define branch fire authority for managers. In the flagship lobby, you collect manager authority forms before opening. A split screen shows managers solving fires as you sit across from the retiring owner. You study the framed metro network map in the hallway. Across the signage catalog, you demand flexible terms from the vendor. You compare throughput and retention on the worksheet. At night, you stop before the old storefront after closing. In the garage, you stack boxes of future uniforms for unopened locations. You forward the minor branch call with one word: handle. At closing, the multi-branch montage shows managers locking glowing offices without you. You read the seller's revised asking note after the old owner hears branch performance. On the first transition plan worksheet, you draft introductions, overlap, retention, and migration. You add the acquisition targets column beside owned locations on the dashboard. You place the seller's business card inside the Books I Did Not Build folder. Level 9. Accounting Practice Roll-Up Buyer. At a broker lunch, you hold the broker lunch folder as the broker warns about legacy. At the airport curb, you step through the driver-held car door beside the deal binder. In first class, you tuck seller notes onto the tray table beside the city map. A rolling carry-on crosses airport, car, broker lunch, and old CPA office in one acquisition day. You walk the old CPA office hallway past desks, files, photos, and stale branding. At the front door drop slot, you request the clients who still deliver documents every spring. Below the old surname sign, you face the retiring CPA refusing an immediate name change. You shadow the front desk receptionist beside the worn counter bell. By the family photo wall, you count 5 family groups stopping by. Headquarters integration photo wall fills with cabinets, copier, signs, staff rooms, calendars, and lobby. You enter the headquarters integration room lined with legal, ops, migration, phones, kits, and packets. The keys to a 30-year practice pass before crews remove the old sign. At the old desk, you face the senior staffer beside the staff nameplate. You present the break room retention meeting around bonuses tied to client migration. Overnight, you watch fresh window decals cover the acquired office. By sunrise, the new sign glows above an office in an unfamiliar city. You leave the retiring CPA's first office photo on the desk. From the parking lot, you hear the banker say, "Platform revenue holds $300,000 per month gross revenue after integration." Beside the lobby counter, you face the seller's hand demanding a higher multiple. You structure retention incentives on the earn-out term sheet. At migration phone stations, you invite old clients into the portal. On rebrand day, the old office lobby holds new logos, familiar staff, and calm process. You pack acquisition binders, ties, security keys, and a city map into the suitcase. At reception, you face the old client refusing portal migration without CPA reassurance. You place the 2-name meeting placard before the joint client meeting. In the back seat, you ride with the seller to key client businesses. You take the discounted valuation page on the conference table. Outside the bank, you call the seller from the sidewalk with an introduction earnout. You arrange the top 20 client cards for business-by-business visits. On the route sheet, you mark dental office, trucking yard, salon, landlord, contractor. A backseat view carries client faces across acquired relationships instead of paperwork. You train regional managers with acquisition story cards in the acquired lobby. On the counter, you set the retiring CPA's old coffee mug beside a new branded mug. You study the red-lined contract on the break room table during the legal ops argument. In the conference room, you sign the seller note with lobby staff waiting. Migration Day command table launches phones, portals, welcome packets, and manager flights. In the rental car mirror, you tell the driver, "No deal without transferable trust." You add owner dependency score beside revenue and EBITDA on the acquisition dashboard. 3 overnight rebrands in 3 cities end with Sunrise logo reveals. Beside the church bulletin ad, you answer the second seller's local face challenge. From the back row, you watch the regional manager lead the client meeting. You pin the multi-state acquisition map beyond the metro area. You hand the next target file to the integration director. Level 10. Tax and Accounting Platform CEO. Before dawn, you face the live command wall of queues, payroll, cases, and targets. You exit the chauffeured black SUV beside headquarters in a custom suit. Through headquarters, you walk past a hallway of live branch screens. You read the COO standing briefing tablet beside filing, review, and payroll updates. Across the table, you open the investor's week office folder. You guide the buyer team to the compliance retention dashboard on the command wall. In the airport lounge, you meet the acquisition seller beside the boarding pass. You review branch reports spread by regional manager luggage tags. Behind glass, call center headset rows absorb peak week calls from multiple states. You catch the dashboard reflection in your understated watch over one amber office. Beside the buyer analyst notebook, you nod toward the CFO's cohort data. You point to the manager bench chart showing turnover coverage and clean compliance. At the payroll pod funding board, you confirm the multi-state payroll run. A drone shot links branded cars outside branches back to headquarters feeds. After the board meeting, you stand on the lake house dock with branch alerts glowing. At glass conference room doors, you watch waiting sellers during the board member argument. You check seller visitor badges for retiring owners from 3 states. Across the seller retention worksheet, you ask how many clients stay without the family name. At the multi-state deal map, you hold the deal huddle with legal, ops, and migration. During all hands, you read $750,000 per month on the platform revenue counter above one logo. The 5-zone operations floor shows review staff, bookkeepers, payroll pods, resolution specialists, and acquisition analysts. You watch the week office video tile as the manager admits the service failure. On the corrective action board, you shift blame into retraining, staffing, outreach, and audit. At the retention call queue, you coordinate week office retention calls and return review samples. You take the lower valuation page from the buyer on the board table. At the open door to the operating floor, you wave the buyer team forward. Rows of specialized teams pass. Call center, review, payroll, resolution, acquisition. You point to the pipeline and compliance panel on the command wall. Beside the partner's revised margin notes, you mark the week branch as contained. You sign with the strategic sale pen after branch queues are confirmed under control. In your private office, you stand before the custom suit beside the travel bag. You place the old plastic file box on the headquarters shelf. You close the glass case around the old file box before the stage entrance. On the stage, you face hundreds of employees before the screen showing every branch, queue, and manager. In the front row, you scan employee badges under one company logo across every function. Final image: a multi-city empire of offices, employees, cars, clients, screens, and deal rooms moves under one brand.